Greetings, everyone. Greetings, everyone. Let me know when you can hear me and see me clearly. I'm going to go ahead and begin introductions while you all let me know that. Thank you. It's such an honor to be here with you in this beautiful channeling that we will be sharing today in regards to the 2-3 world split. Thank you. I am Aurora. I am the founder of A.U.R.A. Hypnosis Healing, that are the galactic history and soul journeys of the universe. As well as you can find, I am on Patreon. You can find me on Patreon, as well as my website, risingphoenixaurora.com, where you could get more information about this. We host retreats all over the US, and we are, for this upcoming year, though we will be doing them only online up until next summer, where we learn how to basically assist the collective in entity removal. And today's video is specifically on the 2 third world splitting, what's happening energetically. So last night, the Galactics, which are basically all the benevolent soul families of the universe that are working together, wanted me to channel information over, which I did. And you will find that if you want to be part of that, so you're able to receive these galactic updates and galactic news, you can do that under my website, risingphoenixaurora.com. And right at the bottom is newsletter option. You type in your email address there, and then you will receive them right when they come out. So it's very important channeling today because it's rough out there. I know you all are feeling it. I know that you've been feeling it all year long, as we've been talking to you all year long of what you've been experiencing. Now, before we move on, I want to say that you most definitely want to pause this video if you have not watched the Laura Eisenhower interview that we had together, where we talked about red versus blue, timeline wars, AI, and archons, and the antidote. You can watch that under her YouTube channel, Laura Eisenhower's YouTube channel. And then I would suggest for you to watch from there, part 2 that I had on my YouTube, part 3, and then also the recent video that we had on the 12/21/2020 and the new year 2021. Okay, because that will really set up a foundation for you to understand these teachings that we'll be sharing today. So thank you. I love you all. Thank you for your support, and thank you for being here in chat. It is an honor to be here with you. Okay. Yeah. So going through, and what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be reading out what it was that they channeled, and then we're going to be going in depth in detail of it. Also, before I forget, there won't be a live video this Friday since we're doing this video today, okay, on 12/16/2020. All right. But I'm sure there's going to be another video somewhere along the way. So if you haven't hit the bell button and subscribed yet, do that now so that you know when those videos are coming out. Thank you. Okay. Let's see. So if you have any questions along the way, go ahead and write them, and I'll keep an eye on them. Very good. So I'm going to go ahead and start reading out. And Minnie should be there, my assistant. If not, she might be busy. But if Minnie is there, you can, save those, give me those comments. Okay, very good. All right, so here we go. All right, drink some water. Yes. All right, we're beginning here. So I'm going to read it out again, and I'm going to read it out paragraph by paragraph and stop along the way and see what I can add on. And then if I see that you all type questions there that correlate with what I am speaking in each paragraph, we will go ahead and answer it as we go through each paragraph and ensure that we understand it at the fullest heart. Okay, so it says, greetings. In this time and space, we channel this transmission with guidance of what is occurring in the now energetically of the 12/12/2020 12/20 through 12/21/2020 portals. So beginning at 12/12/2020, and then really coming to a climax, also both a climax and a conclusion, but not in a conclusion where it's endings, in a conclusion where it is only the beginning and it will basically blossom through. Oh, good. Many years there, thank you. Okay, so she'll be providing me with the questions you all have. Okay, yes. Let me make sure I have those questions. There we go. All right. Okay. So we understand that it began on 12/12/2020, and then it will again climax and then conclude energetically. But what will happen is that it will ripple out into 2021, the year of the 5, the year of the Divine Mother, Gaia, that will then continue to blossom for us. So you're going to understand this as we go through and we explain what's going on within our timeline. Okay, so when viewing from the higher dimensions, we are watching as your Earth, and our Earth is energetically splitting through multidimensional spectrums. What does that mean? Okay, so if we all could envision, we're within perhaps our oversoul aspects from above, and then also our higher self aspect as well, you can connect to. And then we're viewing down the levels, just because it's both a rising of ascending consciousness, but it also is a parallel existence where it is like stacking cups, right? You got a small stacking cup at the bottom, and then big ones, but yet they're still all within the same space. It's just slightly higher, okay, through the quantum realm we're speaking of. All right, so we're viewing everything in a multi-dimensional spectrum. That's how they're viewing from above, our higher selves, our soul family, our galactic soul groups. As Mother Sophia has chosen to ascend further in her ascending consciousness organic process, so too are we in creation. We've talked about this in the previous videos. We also had a live channeling that we had at the beach in the New Orleans retreat that you can check out. We had right before this, where she talked about this more in depth. But we've been talking about it through a process this whole time. Okay, so as she's ascending, because she has chosen to lift higher as the ascending consciousness that she is. This is truly a moment to celebrate, as this was the beginning, predestined, organic timeline we, the collective, agreed upon prior to birth and since the fall of Atlantis, that we have finally collectively achieved. You understand? So basically what that means is that, I'm going to repeat that one more time because it's really powerful and really activating in the heart. This is truly a moment to celebrate, as this was the beginning, predestined, organic timeline we, the collective, agreed upon prior to birth and since the fall of Atlantis, that we finally collectively achieved. You guys feel that? You feel that in your heart. You feel that in your body. So basically, what that means is that as a collective, this is the moment in time, the 12/21/2020 portal, that will enter us into the Divine Mother year of the 5 of 2021. This is what we've all been waiting for. And we're going to go more in depth into why that is along this transmission. Okay, so this was the predestined organic timeline that we decided that we would, that we basically were waiting for. We are all waiting for to achieve, to collectively connect to it. Okay? All right, next paragraph. Let me see if you all have any questions to that. Yeah. Somebody says I've been having such a hard time with family members. We'll talk about that in a little bit. I'm trying to see if there's any questions directly on what I just said. Okay, and I don't see any questions there on that paragraph. So let's move on to the next paragraph. Another beautiful day it is. Another beautiful day it is. Okay, so let's see. For some reason, they wanted you to remember that every day that we wake up is another beautiful, grand day. Okay, so here we go. Next paragraph. We take time now to explain what this means. Mother Sophia Gaia is too, as an individual incarnated consciousness, has written. Oh, okay, let me repeat that. We take time now to explain what this means. Mother Sophia Gaia, too, as all individual incarnated consciousness, so all of us, has written a predestined organic timeline, Mother Gaia has, that is constantly interacting energetically, collectively, to ensure that all is met for the achievement of the collective. Okay, do you understand that? So just like us too, as we have, say, written our predestined organic timeline, though it's not, set in stone, because we are the creators, being still within our free willed expression, right? Within the number one law of this universe is free will expression. So though we've, say, set up our organic timeline before we incarnated, we have this free willed expression. So too does she have an organic timeline that she set up that could be seen more as the collective of both Earth and also the collective of the unity consciousness of the universe. And also from the highest dimension of Divine Mother, since Mother Earth is a piece of Divine Mother, is the embodiment of Divine Mother, then this is what we're all connecting to here within these communications. So she has set up, just like too, this organic timeline. Okay. So she's basically going through and she's doing what she also agreed for the collective, which, she said that this was the time, 12/21/2020, we were going to go ahead and lift up as a collective and cause the third world splitting. Okay. So she's right on track because she has to keep going in order for us to keep going, which is why they worked on us, especially all this year. Okay, as we have and continue to bring into awareness the multiple portal dates of Earth, these help in exponential infinite manner. So we talked about this in part 3, Timeline Wars and Matrix, and then also in the New Year's video. Okay, we talked about that, the portals that are occurring and how it's shifting the collective consciousness, individual consciousness as well, but all working together, intertwined within unity consciousness. Okay. So these are significant for us. Okay, next paragraph. Well, let me see if you all have any questions so far. Okay. Next one. If you could envision a sphere circle that begins to split into two. So like a cell, right? That's splitting into two. That's how Mother Earth is looking now energetically. However, it stops at where the two worlds will meet. Okay, so in other words, we got two circles. So we have one whole circle. Then she starts splitting and then becomes two circles, but yet there's still a meeting place at the center where the two circles are connected to one another, right at the center. See that opening space right here? That's where they're still connected. So it's a two world split, but yet also a third, which we're going into. So it stops right at where the two circle worlds still meet. Okay, not separating yet, because we have a lot of work to do before the initial physical splitting occurs. So creating a split, however, still conjoined at the center of these two meeting splits. Okay? So even though there's a splitting energetically, they're still conjoined at the center. The dimensional location where the circles split right here, in this circle here, in this space here, the dimensional location where the circles split, but yet are still conjoined, are where the three worlds interact. Okay, so we got one world here on the left, one world here on the right, and then we have the one world at the center. So between all these three worlds, there is interaction. Okay. Meaning, here is where the higher dimensional Earth is operating at 55% of light activating on Earth, of the unawakened, awakening, and awakened. Okay, so we talked about that before, right? So within this space here, where we are the bridge, where we're able to reach, say, we'll just say the right side in this explanation is the higher vibration where Mother Earth is shifting, and we're going to shift with her. Okay. And then we have, we'll say this is the ones that can't shift because they're not that collective light yet, or individual, more not collective, but individual light, love light yet. So this is where we cross paths here at the center, and where we are at our most highest potential, because we will explain in a little bit, but there's a reason why you're at your highest potential here. In the meeting place at the center. And this is where we explained how about 55% of light on Earth is activated again within the unawakened, awakening, and awakened, because everybody's got light in them, right? So then total light awakened, even if they're not awakened, right? Okay, so this is where the highest potence of organic life is met, at the conjoining center of these two world circles. When understanding this, it creates a pronounced possibility of being the brightest, strongest, heart self-led individual, where you are manifesting what is divinely a vibrational match to you. Okay. All right, we understand, right? This is where we are at our highest potential. All right, I see no questions. We'll move on to the next paragraph here. Say, we shall give you an example to understand. As we have explained through our prior teachings, that all view from an infinite perspective and multicolor lenses of viewing. Okay, so we've explained that before, and we're going to understand this. There's also a quote that you can find under my website, risingphoenixaurora.com. You click Galactic Port, and then you click inspirational quotes, and it goes through the story of a master and the flame, and how all of them view the same flame sitting around a fire. Not a master, a teacher with their students, and they're all viewing, even though, I believe that teachers and students are all teachers. But yes, they're all viewing this fire, and each one of them sees it physically in a different color. This is actually real. Test it out, but read that so you can understand that. But let's understand this really quick. Okay. Okay, yeah, they're actually asking me. I will read it after we explain this. Okay, so we understand that all view from an infinite perspective and multicolor lenses of viewing, basically multifaceted. So, example, say there is a group of 10 that are together. This group has multiple individuals fluctuating within the three worlds, walking on the same earth, side by side. Okay, you understand that? So this group are operating within the three worlds, side by side, even though they're in the same location. Let's paint a scenario to understand. Out of the group of 10, each one can be at the same location on Earth. Okay, so again, out of the group of 10, each one can be in the same location on Earth. We shall say a beach. So these 10 group, this group of 10 are at the beach. Within this beach, they all sit near the shore. A strong wave comes forth onto them as they're sitting by the shore. A few can perceive the sudden shift in energy of the upcoming wave and are able to fully dodge it as they represent the awakened. Another few move fast enough as they can represent the awakening to not allow for the whole wave to catch them, only becoming partially wet. And the rest instead become engulfed by the wave, as their sense of perception was not operating at the highest possible to view clearly of the upcoming wave. Okay, we understand. So again, the ones who are awakened or operating in the highest potential of their love light awaken are able to perceive that wave, get out of the way, don't get wet. Okay. And then the ones that are partially, in the awakening process, they're connecting, but awakening, they only get a little bit wet because they were able to perceive it at least, say, halfway through. And then the group that is unawakened for various reasons is not able to perceive the wave because they were not able to reach that love light vibration to say, get out of the way. Okay, we're going to explain this further. Okay, all perceived and interacted with the same wave of water in some way. However, to view clearly of the upcoming wave, let me read that again. Okay, all perceive and interacted with the same wave of water in some way, right? However, each concluded with an ultimate different end result, right? Read by their operating awakening love light vibration. Okay, so depending on what love light they were operating within to perceive the wave. The outcome to this scenario is that all are experiencing the same wave. However, the group that did not get wet are operating in a clear, high frequency of infinite love and joy. The group that became partially wet is operating at a medium reading of infinite love. And the group who became soaked are operating in a smaller portion, again, of infinite love. However, hold a stronger, the one who weren't able to perceive, who are unawakened, however, hold a stronger corruption and influence that is the cause of not being able to read and see the wave incoming. All three groups experience the wave, however, each one obtains a different end result. I think this is amazing. Okay, because it helps us understand what this means, because we are literally explaining to you what is the 2/3 world split and how we will move on forward so long as we're here within this simulation, within this matrix. So we have one more paragraph here, and then we'll continue with further teachings and answering your questions. Okay. Next paragraph. So this is the most profound reason why, when the 2/3 world split is occurring, beginning 12/12/2020, going into 12/21/2020, why it is challenging to perceive. Also to be within, right? It's very challenging right now. But also, it could also be very calming. So it depends on what vibration you're tuning into. Okay. The ultimate goal to this transmission is that all will view through our own perspective. This is a time that we honor all our brethren's perspectives, however, yet place boundaries that cannot be overstepped. We always teach us, we can hold infinite love for others, but do not allow for them to overstep your boundaries and then also become part of you and control you in certain ways. Because wherever there is control, that is archonic. Okay. And we're going to give an example to this so you can understand. As those that were partially or fully soaked by the wave would just not understand those who were able to dodge and perceive the wave. They will not understand us. Both the awakening who haven't reached the level of, say, awaken of love light of 55 of of being the part of the 55% of light operating within the 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 two world split where we're operating. Okay, so let me explain this. Okay, so basically, let me repeat that. As those that were partially or fully soaked by the wave will just not understand those who were able to dodge and perceive the wave, as they are just not a matching vibration to them. The ultimate reason being that each group will just be connected to its vibratory match. The ultimate reason being that each group will just be connected to its vibratory match. Okay, so each group will just match its vibratory match as far as the creation and the reality around them. When being wet by the wave, perhaps these people will be agitated, as those who were not and will not ever fully understand why they were not soaked by it, or also the ones that were only partially soaked by it might not understand also. So there is great splitting. So just like we're seeing splitting within the earth, everything around us is splitting in the sense that we just explained energetically. Okay, now this is what we are feeling energetically in our interacting surrounding world through the people around us. The agitated wet ones will not understand until they work within self in true unity consciousness awareness of both the organic and inverted matrix. Not until they understand both. Being able to understand and acknowledge the three worlds, because you cannot understand something till you come into a true awareness of it. Then at that point you can lift out from it. That's what all these videos beginning, well, actually all our videos on our over 350 videos on our YouTube channel are about, but specifically these layers and series you can call, beginning from Timeline Wars with Laura Eisenhower. Okay, so as this is an example of the representation to the three world split, that's what it is. The group that has raised with Mother Sophia Gaia will be operating at its highest potential of organic matrix collective. I want you guys to understand that. So the group that has raised with Mother Sophia Gaia will be operating at its highest potential of organic matrix collective. Organic timeline. The one at the center will be meeting and bridge of both worlds that will maintain the balance, and the last one will be the inverted AI heavily ran matrix. So just like we explained here, so really the ones though that are in the operating in the organic matrix, so we got two circles, right? Two spheres. So this is the organic, we could say this is the organic matrix, right? The ones that are operating and are able to see through the falseness of people's mass, of entities, of artificial intelligence. They're here because they're able to see through and read through it, feel through it. Okay, they're able to follow their heart clearly. And then, but they also go here. They never, let me explain to you, they don't typically go back here unless they became completely compromised. Then they would go back here. But typically, if they understand the inverted matrix fully within their heart, they will be able to weave through the timelines to ensure that they don't go back here into the inverted matrix where everyone else who is not the high enough love light is basically. And even then, partially, even if they're here and they have their surrounding world around them is really three-dimensional, they still can also operate here at the center, where they will still see glimpses of like peekaboo moments of the organic potentials of their timeline and the matrix, organic matrix that are available for everyone. Okay, so yes, it's very convoluted, but I think we've done a really good job at explaining. So in other words, so we got organic here world, inorganic AI world here. They're both connected. At the center is bridging between both worlds. If you choose, you can stay here in this organic timeline and come in here in this space where it's safe energetically, of course, with your guides, your guardians, and you're able to bridge out basically people out from this right here, this inverted darkness. You understand? So this is really important, you all. I can't, I'm like, this is huge, okay? Because what I was shown last night in a dream, I was watching Mother Earth. They don't give me all the details, they give me glimpses, and then I need to go in and I start meditating and start talking to Mother Earth and trying to help her explain to me what she was showing me. But she was like in this beautiful embodiment of Divine Mother, say humanoid. And there was this young man that was very sensitive, was also very controlled. They, in this scenario, they had an archonic mother, which basically she was a soulless mother. When we want to know about soulless souls, we talk briefly. Basically, they're artificial and created. I don't like the word created for archons, but they were made from archons and their experiments. You can watch that Aura regression, the end to all wars. And that is the most recent Aura regression. We'll add all the links though for you guys. So here, okay. Okay, so again, she's standing, Mother Gaia standing there with this beautiful emerald green energy, and she's just so beautiful. And then she has her son, representation for humanity, that people would qualify them as maybe bipolar, depressed, suicidal, you know, these different things. But as we know, they're just infringements within and programming of the inverted, right? There's nothing wrong with these people. They're beautiful. It's just that they're working through, and that's how, you know, the doctors qualify them as. But again, I'm not, I need to legally say I'm not a licensed physician. They qualify them with these, within these different categories. And then, so before, what they showed me is that before, Mother Earth would try to talk to him, but she could not reach him because his density was just not reachable. It was too low. You understand? Okay. But what they showed me is that finally, Mother Earth was talking to him. And this makes me really emotional because Mother Earth was talking to him, and he was able to hear her this time around. And he was able to allow himself to let go of the fear, what's holding him back, you know, the pain. And when he did that, Mother Earth took him in her arms and she hugged him, Mother Gaia, as she healed him. And you can see this beautiful emerald energy just healing him and pulling out all the sorrow and the pain, helping him within his ascending consciousness. Finally, he was able to reach a glimpse, being at the center, a glimpse of this center 2-world split, 3-world split. He was able to understand it, at least even partially. And as she embraced him, he healed. So you understand? So what they're saying is, by this dream, is that as we come in to 12/21/2020 and we go into the new year, this is what it's going to be like. This is why it's been so challenging for us this year. It's painful. It's been painful. It's been hard. This is why it's happened, because we went through as individuals, and then we went through as collectives. And as we worked through individually, we provided that for the collective, because the more that rose to the occasion, that stepped into their power, into their love light, the more that it continued to shift everyone else, because we became brighter and brighter. We became the above 50% of light of Earth, of the unawakened, awakening, and awaken. So what this specifically means, though, is that finally, the organic matrix will be available to all who choose it, those who work within self and start removing the artificial within them of the archon control, and start releasing it, and being able to understand all perspectives of all lives in a beautiful, infinite way, where they're not judgmental, they're not harming others with their negative thoughts, their negative comments, judgment, where they're able to see all perspectives. You understand? Jenny just said, how beautiful. Have been experiencing this with my daughter across the multi-dimensions. Yes, exactly. We're all experiencing this in some way. And then there's some of us who might just be riding the wave, and maybe they already did their work. Maybe they already removed everyone who would be compromising and affecting them during this time. Maybe they're just there to hold love light. So there's going to be some of you there, that are just being part of that love light that is just bridging us and helping us. But us who are working through strong, say, modalities like we do, like, entity removal and helping, we are strongly operating within the organic timeline and always bridging into the in-between of both of these. We are literally walking from here on in the in-between, if we like it, of both worlds. And so long as we listen to our inner guidance and our choices are made organically from heart and never fear, then we shall continue and not go back here. Okay, you guys understand that? Okay, so let me give you an example. One more example so that you can understand this, and then we're going to go into answering all the questions. Okay. So there was, bear with me, as this is a very hard channeling for me, because I feel this pain of the splitting, and it's hard. I feel the collective also pain, and what all of you are going through in your own ways. And I just love you with all that I am. My apologies. I didn't realize I was going to cry. So just sending you love. Okay. Okay. Thank you for the love, y'all. I send love to everyone. Okay. I love you all too. Thank you. Okay. I'm trying to stop crying. Okay. I'm grounding. All right, here we go. I know that I'm crying here with you all, but I think it's very healing to cry. As we teach, it's healing for everyone to cry. You need those crying moments where you just heal. Okay. Yes, tears release. All right. Okay. I think we have moments there that we can move on. Okay. Whew. We got this. All right. So here we go. Okay, so I wanted to share with you a most powerful example. So you all have been sharing with me, the different groups that you've been part of, in not just this year, but all overall, the minute you started awakening, right? Because the minute we wake up, we're like, we're looking for groups to find comfort and to find, I guess you could say, a sense to belong, because we remember this and how when we're from source, we belong. we have this acceptance to one another, and we don't feel alone. So, people creating groups. So I'm going to share this. This is and throughout the time, as we learn about new different alien races, we share them with you whenever we can. So this alien race, basically, I came across viewing upon a group. And this alien race was a form of an archon. And I'm going to explain to you. I'm going to show you an image of what they showed me it looks like. Okay, so do you all remember the cartoon show in the movies called the Ninja Turtles? And then do you remember the brain? Okay. So like this, let me wait till it focuses. You see that there? Okay. So that brain is like a form of, so just like, it's similar, very similar actually to the movie, which is very interesting. I had yet to come across this alien race. So that was my first time. So it looks like that. And it came across in an actual healer, a healer that provides basically provides healings for others. And this person, she had this archon in her stomach, just like that. So when you look at the image, you guys are going to come across this as you are learning to weave through the 3 world splits. Okay, so again, so you see how this being here is basically, so the shell of this like humanoid kind of cyborg thing is holding the brain, right? But truly the mastermind is the brain, and the body is just kind of like it's a puppet. Okay, so it looked just like that. And then you see the tentacles that come out, right? We talk about tentacles. The Aura regressionists that we have, close to 150 now, the beautiful souls that shared, when to talk about archons, they talk about tentacles. Well, this one was very powerful, one of the most powerful ones that I've come across and seen in a group. And it had its tentacles, and it was very like and then it was surrounded by, it had like this artificial plasma, or looks like not saliva, mucus all around it, energetic mucus inside this person. Okay, so then what it will do is that within this group, as this group is also experiencing the 2-3 world split, it began to split, basically, this group that I was viewing. Now, when it began to split, those who were in fear, in a lower vibratory match, who perhaps didn't want to or quite weren't ready, say energetically, to understand the inverted matrix that we've been talking about, since they were in this type of denial and did not believe in it, they basically were a vibratory match to this being. Okay, so when they became a vibratory match by going into fear, not wanting to face the shadow, not thinking that this is not part of their reality or construct, this thing, at that point, they allowed for this thing with its gooey tentacles connect to them energetically. Okay, so when it did that, it basically starts harvesting. And what they explain is that it's like this scientific, it's like this very powerful intellectual archon that keeps you in your mind, starts making you judge others, starts making you being hateful towards others, basically goes into your brain and also connects to your brain. So not just parts of the body, it will also stick its tentacles through your brain. And it almost starts like it would stick in the neurological system and will start weaving around the person, almost like they're a puppet, similar to that body that it's in. Okay. So the minute you agree with it, and you basically the minute you agree to it, and you agree with its perspective of viewing of all that we mentioned, not believing in the artificial matrix, that, as we know, because you all watch those videos and you know how those archons came in to our universe, they're not of ours, right? So the minute you agree with it, the minute that you believe it, and these beings will typically go after the strongest love light. So they'll use all the different minions that they built around them with these tentacles, and they will attack energetically the strongest light basically there, because their goal is to get all the group into their world of artificial, inverted matrix. So this is one of the strongest, this is a great example, because this is one of the strongest things that's been occurring in the spiritual communities. Because we awaken and then we go into these groups, and then all of a sudden there's like something's off and people are acting weird, and some people are, being mean to each other. And and you don't know which way to go. You're kind of like in between. You're like, I don't know if I should go here. I don't know if I should go there. What's going on? And then also a strong being like that would really trick you also, and make you feel like perhaps you don't believe and say in the inverted matrix, and it was not part of your belief system. But the minute you do that, and then you would give your allegiance. You give your allegiance to this archonic brain tentacle thing. And there is also an aura regression that I had, that it was souls trapped in the wall, and it was like this goo that was attaching to people. You could watch that one too. We'll add the link later. That talks about some of this like mucus artificial energy it had, that once you agreed with it, then basically you're consenting to it. You've consented to it. So this is why we tell you to be very cautious on what you agree to, what you consent to, and view with your heart, because the brain will always tell you otherwise. Especially if specifically, not the brain though, that's connected to the mental, that's connected to the heart. We're talking about just like mental and just intelligence like archons are. And then when viewing upon this group, I tried to basically tell them about this being, and how there was archonic control. And when I tried to tell them what was going on, and how they were being maneuvered around like puppeteers, like puppets to a puppeteer, they automatically classified me, and I know all of you guys are going through all this, they automatically classified me as being fearful. Oh, you have an overwhelming emotion of fear. No, there is no fear. There is only awareness and a clear heart that is able to see between the hidings and the masking of the inverted. Okay, so a lot of you are being able to connect to this and understand this right now. So what we're telling you is that you stand in your power, and you do not allow for anyone to pull you into the inverted matrix. Okay, again, if you're here, you are most definitely operating within some point of view of the organic matrix at this point, and you are preparing yourself to go into it specifically, where you're operating in that high vibration and light. So honor yourself, love yourself so intently and so infinitely that you do not allow yourself to get swayed. Because even this tentacle being, everybody that it had around, and like it had like, the people around it, it will make them sick. The person around that don't see that there's actually this archon brain thing in them, their friends, they will become like very sick, constantly sick, low immune system, drained, exhausted, because that thing is feeding off everyone. They're feeding off the family, they're feeding off everything. And then everyone that believe what they're saying will also be part of this like webbing that then also becomes like negative cords that feed this thing constantly. And these things will specifically love being in groups in the sacral areas of Mother Earth, like Peru, like Sedona. We've talked about these things all year long. We had you watch Galactic Guardian in Earth, where he talked about this months ago, and then also Egyptian Pharaoh, where he talked about the beginnings of this and how they've been using us to actually affect the timeline, using our influence of timelines, of choices, to affect the collective's love light. So this is why it's so grand, because we're beyond that at this point. If you choose it, of course, because remember what Metatron said in that video I told you all about, is that he says it's all about your choices. And you all make the poorest choices. What are your choices? All choices that you make, you stand strongly in your heart and you take a deep, deep understanding and you wait. And then you do not conclude that choice until you really feel it in your heart. All choices. Never make a choice of fear, of like maybe I'm not, ready for this. Maybe I'm uncomfortable. Maybe like make a choice that you go in your heart. Don't ever make it off of uncomfortness, because that will match fear, guilt, worry. It will match that vibration you're creating it from. And this is why we're saying this, because we are coming into this 3-world split. As this 3-world splits, especially as we will be operating within, we choose to operate within the most organic timeline of us and the most organic matrix, we will be creating all our experiences around us. We will be creating it, and everything will become so fluent. I think I read one of the comments here. It says that they're so calm. That's because you're operating within the organic timeline in the matrix. That's just what it feels like. It feels like a calmness, like you're just swaying with the waves of infinite creation, and you're just flowing with it, not in resisting, and you're flowing with it. Now, of course, we can't be like that all day long, right? Because we still have our 3-dimensional world where we have to go grocery shopping and we have to, go to, some of you might have still a 3D job, and as you're doing this, it's like you have to be then in between of the 3 worlds then here, because you still have to, you're still in the 3D, but you're understanding that is the inverted, I'm at the center, but then I also know that I have this side here that I could be very organic when I feel that I need it. Okay, so one last example that I have for you to understand this. Okay, so for example, so I went to New Orleans, as you all know, which was glorious. It's beautiful. I highly suggest for anyone who is ready to step into this organic timeline, go to New Orleans. There's infinite beauty to it. And go to trees, go to parks, go to locations that still have, and there's trees that they have that are huge, gigantic. Go to those trees because they connect. Remember what we talked about, how they're all pillars of light? Imagine a tree that is so big, the trunks are just amazing. You can look it up on, a search engine and see those images of these trees that are located there. I didn't realize that. When I showed up, I was like, wow, this is paradise. And when I showed up, there's still, this is a perfect example of how you could try to walk your world and your life. Is I showed up and I chose to walk this organic timeline here, this organic matrix. So when I walked the lands of New Orleans, I walked with the most infinite joy and love, as well as at the retreat. I walked with this beautiful infinite love for everything. And I was a literal beacon of love light. And I said, and I asked, of course, I love this emotion, this feeling. And then as I walked through it, it completely converted in my imagination, my 3D and my physical, where it all became like a paradise, like Lumeria, like Mu, where the trees were gigantic and life was just glorious and beautiful, the natures. And when I tapped into this organic matrix, then I viewed actually how New Orleans looks in its organic blueprint. It actually looks like a crystalline city, and all our cities look like this if we choose to tap into its organic original blueprints. And everything was basically rainbow crystalline, shining. All the trees and the lands and the plants, the skies, everything shifted for me. And as I walked it, they told me all the life around it. They thanked me and they said, "Thank you, Aurora, because when we do this, you bring it back to us. You remind us of this blueprint that we have long forgotten, that has been compromised, that has been fed into, that has been infringed and poisoned in many artificial ways." And then you become the bridge for that crystalline real formation of this world, and you bridge it here. And that's what we're doing. You're that bridge there at the center that we talked about. That is who we are. Okay? And I was talking to one of my students, which I wanted to share her story. And she's beautiful, African American, but also other races as well, not just one race. So she was sharing with me. We were having a beautiful conversation about the trees and how they're pillars of light. And then she said, I just thought about something. When our ancestors, when they would lynch them by the trees or hang them by the trees, they were doing it to harm the trees, the pillars of lights. And then when they would do all this pain and death and negative energy would actually be fed into the tree. Well, we were talking together at that point, and we basically saw how that pain of that death and that harm and intrusion and violation and violence would then feed into that tree, and then it would poison energetically. This pain would poison the rest of the trees. And as we talked about, the trees provide the gridding of love light on earth, as well as the pyramids as well, and that we talked about through the two guardians, Osiris and A.U.R.A. So we're bringing back the trees right now. They're activating, just like we are activating. They are activating, and when the shift occurs, they're going to activate at their fullest. And you help them spread those pillars of light that they are. You hug those pillars of light that they are, and we continue healing Earth. Thank you. Okay. Truth. Alchemy said, I saw that too. Some fairy magic said trees are sentient beings. Yes, they are. They have organic consciousness, just like we are. Accessional said, everything has become brighter and bolder. Okay. Yes, we grounded it together into the timeline. We did. Someone said that. Amelias. Okay, so let's answer some questions. That was a longer explanation than I realized, but it was needed. Okay. Okay, now let's see how many we can answer. We'll run it at 10 minutes past since I talked so much. 111, send love to the earth. Are there any souls in the parts of the earth that are not attached anymore at the center, the part that has completely split at opposite ends? Let me understand this. Are there any souls in the parts of the earth that are not attached anymore at the center, the part that has completely split at opposite ends? Okay, in a physical sense, no. But in a multidimensional aspect, absolutely, yeah. You will very much just be a constant creator of your reality, and you'll know exactly where's the artificial, what it looks like. You'll be able to smell the artificial and the archons, this type of being. So yes. Okay. Next one. As it seems to be now, will it be the same, where the higher dimension ones will be vibing? They will see all, but the lower will not. Yes, exactly. The lower will not be able to understand you, no matter what, unfortunately. And just scientifically speaking, they're just not the same vibratory frequency and vibration of you. They're not. So they're, no matter how hard you will try to explain it to them, they won't be the match, because only inwards, like we said to the channeling, only inwards can they work within self to be able to finally meet you when it is time. This is huge, infinitely huge, because we are now providing this for all. It is, there's no boundary, not boundaries, there's no limitations to it. Infinite. Okay. And the lower ones that are not a vibratory match with you will argue with you and will act like they're your savior. And it's like, you're fearful. How can I help you, you poor thing? And it's like, no, I'm not fearful. I just see the true. I see the artificial within you and what you're creating for you. I see it. I sense it. I smell it. I feel it. There's no fear, because only a person who lives in no fear can live in this embodiment and know that we are love light. We are. And we transmute that artificial. We do. They're so scared of us because we're the weapon of love. They cannot come into us if we stand in our hearts and our love. And I know we can't be perfect, so that's why we have shields, right? We have shields that you can use that we've talked about in all our videos on our YouTube channel. You're using your I am source. Okay, let's move on. I'm having such a hard time with family members giving me a hard time for my beliefs. Any advice in dealing with their insults would be much appreciated. Whew, that's a hard one. So the only way that I've learned how to deal with this and what they've taught me, what we teach, is that because, once more, they can't see and understand your vibratory, they're not a match to you. They're going to continue energetically attacking you. And people don't realize that when they're coming at you, thinking that they're your savior and, and that you're going, that's archonic, first of all. We don't need a savior. Okay? We find our inner knowing through our hearts. We are our own savior. And they're coming at you like, perhaps you have a religious family member that thinks they're going to save you in the name of Jesus, and they've they've compromised, they've twisted Jesus, Yeshua, when we know he's not that. And they want to force their belief system on you. They're never going to stop. And that you have to watch 12/21/2020 update, New Year's, where we talk about how the best thing to do is release them. Because when you release them of this negative polarized role that they feel that they need to play for you. You release them. We go in depth in that video. Not only do you free yourself to walk your most organic, positive timeline, but you also provide it for them. Not necessarily like fully provided for them, but you offer, basically you're giving them that potential where they no longer have to play that role for you. So in turn, if they ever so choose it within their free will expression, they can walk that path as you do within the organic. Okay? Because they won't feel the calling anymore. They might move on to their next, say victim or whoever they can try to control. But that's their choice, right? We respect our choices because we're benevolent beings. Only archons don't respect choices and perspectives because they want to force their false, artificial construct onto you. They want to make you of them so that they can continue feeding under all-you-can-eat buffet of light that they view us as. And that we are not, right? Mm-mm. Hell no. I don't know if I can say that live, but I'm saying that. Okay. Let's see. So if we have not ascended by the 21st, what will happen to us? Well, remember, it's a potential that we're entering that will always be there. So don't worry about it. Don't stress yourself out. Don't overwhelm yourself, because remember, that's archonic. Understanding what belief systems within us are archonic. Because, bashing ourselves, being upset of ourselves, maybe, judging our own selves, that is an archonic tendency and belief construct that's not even part of our universe. Remember that. Any of these lower vibrational emotions, anything that basically your higher self would never tell you, that is archonic. If they're being, you could say, negatively harmful, and affecting you. So don't worry about it. It will come forth when it's meant to. You continue every time, every choice that you make, you go to your heart. You take a breath, you go to your heart. You take a breath, you go to your heart. You keep doing that. And every day that you wake and you continue to do this and you do your force fields of love light, you will feel different. You will. And then you will become gradually build like a ladder, closer and closer and closer to that organic 3-world split. Okay? Are there any specific physical symptoms in these days while the light codes entering Schumann resonance rising, as I try to figure out what's the higher back pain? Yeah, that could be a physical symptom if you feel like the world is on your shoulders. For sure. Energetically, like you have, or perhaps you're holding on to others' luggages and baggage. That could be another. There's many different things. But learn to talk to your body and listen to it and what it's trying to tell you. So figure out, why am I having this? Ask during dream time, right before you fall asleep. Higher self, show me, why am I having this back pain, or why am I feeling this sensation in my body? Remember, your body is the bridge to all these different pieces for you that give you an understanding to what is going on with you energetically around you, because the physical vessel, even though it's an illusion, it's a direct bridge to the energetic body that tells you constantly, is bridging information for you to connect to. Okay. Our sun satellites show an anomaly that happened on 12/11 and 12. So 12/12 and 12/11. That would be exactly what we talked about. Going into the beginnings of these portal dates, where we anchored in together collectively this potential of organic path of timeline, organic matrix. That's pretty cool. I'll have to see that. Whoever wrote that, can you email me, please? Rising Phoenix Aura at Gmail. And I'd love to see that. Cool. Beautiful. Do you have any info on our sun activity correlates to this as well? This question. Well, it has shifted. It has completely shifted. It is now at the highest it's ever been since the Atlantis fall. And it is directly anchoring the most infinite love light to us, and purification, transmutation, cleansing, recharging of our soul. It's sending like solar waves through it from here on, Michelle. And it's powerful. It's reminding and bringing forth our cellular crystal blueprint. Okay, last question here. Some of us have unbelievable calm for about 3 weeks. Help us to understand it feels great. No fear. That is the vibration that I always walk within, which is the organic matrix. So you're feeling that is a representation to the organic matrix. That's what you're feeling with no fear. Even if you're looking at this gigantic brain archon thing, right? That's like, there's still no fear because you know it can't touch you because you're in your heart. And you are the love, light, power. So that's what you're feeling. Sense of calmness. Know that you all will directly connect and bridge in that moment to the organic timeline and matrix. One more question. Aurora, you have a beautiful soul. I wish to be enlightened like yourself, but struggle with addictions. Am I unable to ascend because of this? Thank you for the beautiful comment. I love you. Now, what I will say to that is when you try not to make wishes, whenever you, because they program into us with that, oh, I wish I have this, I wish I could do this, I wish I was this. And that's basically archonic, because we're wishing, we're using up basically a wish. Now, when you do, we have wishes though, specifically when we have our birthdays. Those are times that we create within our crystalline energies the wishes that are to come forth. So use them for then, and then build them throughout the whole year in your now operating organic timeline that would be possible for you, right? So that's my first advice there with that. And then let's see, struggle with addictions. That is hard. I don't know what addiction it is, but it is hard. Even when we were walking New Orleans and anywhere, you know, I grew up in Chicago, so there's lots of, it's a big city. There's addictions everywhere to everything, to sugar, to alcohol, to drugs, to specific prescription drugs that are AI. Is what they are. So it takes a very strong willpower and strong inner working and belief system that you can do it. And this is something very much that we're bridging right now, because we have so many that have been lost to the inverted matrix by the addictions, by the artificial of all sorts of drugs of any kind and addictions. And it's hard to see these people that are trying so hard, but they can't get out. And then for you, I send love every day. Maybe as a collective here, we can send love to people that are specifically perhaps addicted to drugs, because that's the hardest addiction. Everything else you can do yourself. You can get rid of coffee, get rid of sugar. That's all your decision. But the other drugs that they give through prescriptions as painkillers, or they say they're for, you know, depression, and I don't know the names, but all these different drugs that people have been on for 10, 20, 30 years. These are direct artificial intelligence in them that cannot be eradicated unless they start basically little by little removing them. So what I would suggest is whatever you're on, little by little, start making it smaller, smaller, smaller. Again, I'm not a licensed physician. Smaller, smaller, so you get to the point where you no longer need it, and that you envision yourself in a flame. You are a humanoid flame embodiment. You keep doing that. You keep doing that. And that is the bridge. I believe in you. I believe in you with all that I am. With all that I am, I believe in you. And so do your brothers and sisters here. And that's a message for everyone who might be addicted to drugs in some way. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I love you with all that I am. I will see you sometime this week. There might be a video here and there that you might see. Otherwise, I will see you, I believe, next Friday. But we'll flow with it and we'll see what will happen. hit the bell button, subscribe, share this video. Please share this video so that we can help the world understand that it is time for us to step foot upon this crystalline organic timeline and bridge it everywhere that we are and everywhere that we go. I love you with all that I am. I honor you. Thank you and respect you. Thank you. Thank you for being you. I love you.